It's Florian Friday. Florian Wirtz is officially a Liverpool player, and Liverpool have officially broken their club transfer record, 100 million, 116 million with add-ons potentially. But we're not going to talk about Florian Wirtz too much today. As I record this video, I've just had a text a couple of minutes ago to say his medical is done and dusted, and he will be announced this evening, late afternoon, early evening, as a Liverpool player. So maybe this video will be out before then, maybe it will be out after, depends how quick I can be bothered to put it out. But we're going to talk about two main areas today, number 9s and centre-backs. Now, I said in my last video that Marc Guehi is definitely an option for Liverpool. You can go back and watch that. Said that on Wednesday. On Thursday, that became even more evident. Started to have a few messages with people who were saying, yeah, definitely an interesting one to keep an eye on. There's no definites about this. No bids have gone in yet. But we should speak about Marc Guehi a little bit, because I've seen a few people on social media sort of saying this is a bit of an underwhelming signing. I don't think it would be if Liverpool were to push forward with it. And that is still an if at this stage. There's no definites, as I said a minute ago. But Marc Guehi is a really good player. He's still in that young category. He's a leader. I've seen Palace fans saying he's their best ever captain. Obviously lifted the FA Cup a few weeks ago. Massive achievement for Palace. Partied on the streets. He's got a year left on his contract, and I think that means that it's probably the right time for Marc Guehi to move on. Nearly did last summer. He would be very glad that he didn't now, because he's won that trophy. Although, to be fair, if he went to Newcastle, he might have won one as well. Palace would be absolutely ecstatic that he stayed on, because he led them to that trophy, led them into the Europa League next season as well, on the back of that. And every Palace fan you ask has nothing but amazing things to say about Marc Guehi. Brilliant on the ball. He's got that sort of, he's an old school defender, but also has that modern, all the modern traits that you want from a centre-back in this day and age. He's really, really good at the progressive passing. He's good at his duels. He's quick. His recovery pace is good. As I said earlier, he's a big leader as well. So if Liverpool were to sign him, I think it would represent good business. Not overly sure what the money is. I think basically Newcastle wanted about 65, 70 last summer, but the fact he's got a year left on his deal means that they will have to do business for a lot less this summer. Now I think obviously the noises are coming from Palace are maybe towards 50 million. Liverpool are a bit behind that, or a bit lower than that. Whether they meet in the middle or not, we're not sure. Maybe 45 may get it done, 40. Not sure too much on that. But I do remember actually when I first started in this job, not the Liverpool job, but first started as a journalist, one of the games they sent me to was to watch Swansea. I think it was at Blackburn or Preston or somewhere like that. Swansea, they're managed by Steve Cooper at the time, and Marc Guehi was on loan there. And I remember thinking then, I mean, it's easy to say in hindsight, but I remember thinking then, like, yeah, this kid is good. Who is this guy? I didn't know much about him back then. He was obviously on loan from Chelsea at the time. And then he got into the England under-21 squad on the back of that, had a good campaign. And I thought, yeah, this kid is going to be a Premier League centre-back within the next 2 or 3 years. I probably wrote that somewhere. I might try and dig it out. And then obviously now I would say he's one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League. Not the best. There's we're not going to exaggerate just how good he is, but he is a good player. He's solid. Rarely makes mistakes. I remember watching him at the Euros. Him and John Stones for England last summer made a really good combo, really good defensive duo. Obviously England got to the final. Guehi played a big part in that, I thought, because really when you look at that England squad from the Euros last summer, the centre-backs are one of the weaker points. Obviously Stones was fit at the time and very good player, but the lad next to him was a bit, who plays with Stones? That was one of the big questions going into that campaign, and Guehi made that spot his own. That says a lot about his character. I don't think he'd want to come to Liverpool to be the third choice centre back though. I think he'd want some sort of, maybe not guarantees, but I think maybe this one suggests that, well, they're uncertain on Ibrahima Konate's future, let's say that. Jorrel Kwanzaa, who we'll discuss in a second, is obviously going to Bayer Leverkusen. Joe Gomez, he's done an Instagram post a few minutes ago as I record, basically saying how much he loves the club. I wouldn't completely rule out an exit for Joe Gomez this summer, but what I would say is he clearly wants to be around, wants to be at Liverpool, loves the club, has been a great servant over the years, Liverpool's longest serving player, never moans about not being in the team, always, every manager you speak to about him, well, there's only been Klopp and Slot, but both of them absolutely adore him, leadership qualities. So, interested to see what happens with Joe Gomez in the next few weeks and months. Kwanzaa looks a bit more certain. I think that one will happen. Leverkusen, about £30 million. Decent business for Liverpool. It's a shame. I think that Kwanzaa is going because he was so good last season, or the final Klopp season. I never know what point do you call it last season. Is it still this season? The Club World Cup obviously is what a shambles of a tournament that is, but that is making the whole this season, last season debate a bit murkier. But Kwanzaa, really good under Klopp. Remember, I was at his league debut away at Newcastle, and he went from strength to strength, and he came into this season, I genuinely thought it would be him and Van Dijk, the main centre-back duo. Didn't quite work out for him, got hauled off in that first game at Ipswich and never really found his form again. So, is it the right time for Kwanzaa to move on? I'm not sure if I was trying to put myself in his shoes, would I have moved on if I was him after one disappointing season? Well, if he compares it to the point he was at 2 years ago, I think he would have snapped your hand off to be Liverpool's third choice centre-back. But clearly he has big ambitions and thinks that Bayer Leverkusen can better his career, so we can't blame him at all. I think maybe if you look at some of the players Liverpool have sold in the last 18 months, how many of them, the younger ones this is, how many of them have gone on to impress? Thinking Fabio Carvalho, 20 odd million, what has he done at Brentford? Absolutely nothing of note. There's a few more in that conversation as well. So will we be looking back in a year's time thinking maybe Liverpool sold Kwanzaa too early? We'll have to wait and see. But maybe good money, maybe it is the right time to move on for him. But aside from Guehi and maybe as well as Guehi, let's see, the main focus for Liverpool in terms of centre-backs since Richard Hughes came in has been a long-term Virgil van Dijk replacement. They want young prospects with a big future, and that still is the case regardless of the Guehi situation. So I'm going to use that word again, opportunistic. If they sign Guehi, I think that falls into the category of opportunistic. He's available at a decent price this summer. He's a player that Liverpool have wanted for quite some time. They were interested in him last summer. And I think that would fall into, good market opportunity for Liverpool. Take it. Similar to Chiesa in a way. Obviously very different in terms of the category of player, how good they are, the injury record and whatever. Guehi's is pretty much spotless. Chiesa was available for a very cheap price. Liverpool thought, why not? It's not worked out. It looks like he's set to go back to Italy. But Guehi may be one that's just, they think, let's do that then. Or maybe they thought that last summer and, let him run down that contract a bit more in the hope of getting him for cheap. But aside from that, Liverpool's main focus is a long-term Van Dijk replacement. He's got 2 years left. He's not going to be here forever. We saw last summer they were in for Lenny Yoro. Obviously, he decided to go to Man United. He's had a bit of a stop-start first year there, to be fair. Not terrible, especially given how catastrophic United have been this season or last season. But Liverpool were in for him last summer, and that was because he is one of the best young centre-backs on the market, or he was at the time. This summer, they were in for Dean Huijsen, who's obviously gone to Real Madrid for 50 million. They would have happily paid that money, but Huijsen decided to go to Real Madrid. Liverpool want a young defender who can be at the club for 10 plus years and be the heir to Virgil van Dijk's throne. Is that man Marc Guehi? I think this is a separate conversation. One name that is definitely still on the list is Jorrel Hato at Ajax. Is he a centre-back, you'll ask? Well, he's played most of his football at left-back, but he can play centre-back as well. Liverpool would like that versatility, and I wouldn't fully rule out them dipping back into that market this summer or next in terms of Jorrel Hato at Ajax. As I've said in a previous video, Virgil van Dijk is a huge fan of Hato, really likes the look of him. He's, from what I've been told by good sources in Holland, he absolutely adores Hato, thinks he's the best thing, the best youngster to come out of Holland in a defensive sense for some years. So that is one to keep an eye on, definitely. Maybe this summer, maybe next. Castello, Lukeba at Leipzig, another young defender, could be one to watch. I think it's clear Liverpool have kept an eye on him. I've been told that Liverpool have had scouts at many RB Leipzig games this season. I think I've said that in a video in the past. He could be one as well to watch in terms of Liverpool trying to get the best young defenders on the market. Missed out on Jorrel, missed out on Huijsen, maybe Hato, maybe Lukeba. There's probably a name that I'm not even aware of that they've watched. Obviously, I've said in the past as well, they've been scouting. But they scout loads of games. Like I think if I put out a story saying they've been scouting Team X, everyone's like, ooh, they're scouting them. But they do go to hundreds of games a season. They would have watched hundreds of players a season. I said at the time as well, they've watched Real Betis, and there's a young kid there, is it Jesus Rodriguez, who is linked with just about everyone in the Premier League at the moment. So he could be one to watch, but not heard any more on that for quite some time. And obviously Mastan Tuanto, or whatever his name is, who's just gone from River Plate to Real Madrid. So that is a wrap on the defenders, I think. Obviously, just to finalise that, obviously the Andy Robertson thing is interesting. Does he make his mind up? Someone in Spain texted me on Wednesday to say that they were confident of signing him. Not heard any more since. I've checked it out with a number of people, and basically the word back is he's not made his mind up yet. He's still deciding what to do. So that's a wrap on defenders. Let's talk about strikers and forwards. Well, Alexander Isak, that's the one that you will all be watching this video screaming at me to answer the question. Now, basically, I'm recording this about 11 a.m. I don't think there'll be any updates on Alexander Isak today, and I don't know if there will be at any point in the next few days. But what we can say is this: Liverpool love Alexander Isak, but he costs an awful lot of money. Can Liverpool afford that this summer, especially after they're about to put down 100 mil on Wirtz? That'll be leaving their bank account today. Well, I'm not sure it actually works like that. I'm not sure someone just fires up a Barclays app and wires 100 million. Of course, it doesn't work like that. But effectively, they've got rid of 100 million for Wirtz, just shy of 30 million for Frimpong, about 40 million for Kerkez, 30 million for Mamardashvili. That's 210 million if my maths is correct, and if it's not, please correct me. And then obviously, if they were to sign Guehi, that would take it to 250-ish plus. So realistically, can they sign Alexander Isak this summer? It seems unlikely, but it's not impossible. Do I have a sneaky feeling on it? Not yet. Not yet. I said that I had a sneaky feeling on Florian Wirtz, and then 2 days later it was obvious that he was coming to Liverpool. So I can't do that yet. I don't want to jinx anything. Alexander Isak is obviously loved by the Liverpool hierarchy, but I just, realistically, when you actually sit down and think about it, I don't think that it's possible this summer, but it could be. Or I don't think it's probable this summer would be a better word, sorry. I think it's possible, but not probable. Getting my words a bit mixed up here, going round in circles a bit. They love him. Newcastle obviously want to keep him, and they would command a fee of over 140, 150 million, I think. There's noises coming out that they'd want 200 million, but with that, I just think they would say that, wouldn't they? It's clearly a brief from Newcastle that they want 200 million. I just think if I was selling my bike, I would ask for 200 quid, and I'd probably accept 140, 150 quid. I don't even have a bike, so I'm not going to be doing that anytime soon. But yeah, that's the Isak latest. Not really much of an update. Liverpool of him. They will try and get him, I think, but we'll see. Not clear cut on that one, to be honest. Obviously, Hugo Ekitike is the option, the name that keeps coming up. It's a bit of a weird one though, Ekitike, because his name is in every conversation you have around strikers, but there's never been anything more than Liverpool like him. It's never stepped up to, Liverpool have made contact with Eintracht Frankfurt. Liverpool are ready to step up their interest in Ekitike. So it's a weird one, but he's clearly one to watch. I think obviously Česko's going to Arsenal by the looks. Kerkez is on the move. I'm not sure about him. He seems just the whole, I don't know if you've been following it, the thing with his agent sort of saying stuff. I just sort of think maybe he seems a little bit of a bad egg. Good striker though. Good on the shoulder, big lad. But I think to wrap up, the word that I got yesterday, I had a text from someone, basically said Liverpool want versatile forwards, they want young forwards, someone who can sort of play all three positions maybe. And I suppose that rules out quite a few players, but Slot is keen on that versatile aspect. You look at Luis Diaz, played probably most of his games as a number 9 this season, probably, well, let's say half of his games as a 9, the other half as a left winger. Maybe finished a couple of games as a right winger as well. Obviously, Gakpo hasn't really been used as a 9 under Slot, but we know he can. Salah, maybe, I always think if Salah maybe lost a yard of pace in the next year or two, could he play a bit more through the middle? He wouldn't have to be so direct with his running at fullbacks. But obviously his finishing would still remain a bit like Ronaldo's moved into more of a number 9, and as he's got into his mid to late 30s. But the word is Liverpool want that versatile forward who can play across the front line. So I guess it's a case of wait and see on that one. I think basically one thing that someone said to me as well was Liverpool don't want to go shopping for a number 9 that doesn't exist. In terms of there's not many elite level number 9s on the market at the moment, so they're not going to sign one for the sake of it. That's not to completely rule out them signing number 9. Obviously, I still think that they will really want one this summer, but it's just a case of we're only on the 20th of June, so there's 2 months to go, more than 2 months to go until the market closes. A lot of things can happen. There'll be a player that Liverpool probably maybe sign that none of us have even thought about yet, but it's going to be interesting. Wirtz is done, Frimpong's done, Kerkez will be done next week, Mamardashvili's done, Pesci, the young goalkeeper's done, and Guehi could be an option, a young centre-back as well, or instead of Guehi, but sales have to happen. Nunez will. Nunez seems to be the one that's most along in terms of the sales, aside from, of course, Kwanzaa. It's gone quiet a bit on Elliott. I think at the start of the window there was a lot of talk about Dortmund and Leverkusen, but that one's gone quiet. I've not heard anything on that at all for a few weeks or months. In fact, I don't think them two are realistic options for Elliott anymore. But Nunez, Napoli does seem to be very realistic at the moment. Obviously, the different clubs are involved in the conversation as well. But as it stands, and I checked this morning, I'm not aware of any official bids or official contact or approaches made for Nunez just yet. So watch this space, maybe in the next few days. But maybe by the time you're watching this, Florian Wirtz will be officially a Liverpool player. It seems an awful long time ago that I said I had a sneaky feeling that he was going to sign. It seems an awful long time ago that we had that here we know when it was nearly done, but it wasn't. And it seems an awful long time ago that everyone was in the comments of these videos saying, just hurry up, get on with it. It's done. Florian Wirtz is a Liverpool player. More to come from Liverpool. They're not done in this transfer window yet. And if you subscribe to this channel, there'll be regular videos telling you everything you need to know about Liverpool. But it's Friday. It's Florian Friday. Have a very good weekend. Don't forget your Factor 50 sun cream. Have a good one all. Be back with a video early next week.